What's up, everybody? I have a new Reaver build for you. What's different with this one than the other ones, you might ask? Well, with the Trespasser DLC come new upgrades for all your abilities, allowing you to fine-tune the way that you build your Reaver. In this case, where the Reaver used to be effective, now, by extension, your entire body is a weapon. Everything you do can deal damage, and you become kind of like an AoE wrecking ball machine, basically. It's kind of why I call it the Wrecking Ball Reaver, and you'll see why later on. For right now, I thought I would go ahead and take you through the entire build process. Instead of just showing you my end-game character, oh, look at my uber-powerful character here, doing millions and millions of damage. I thought I would take you from the beginning and show you what I pick, what order I pick them in, and how I built this entire party, not just my character. So we'll start off with behaviors. This is what I like to do. This has always been kind of a go-to behavior setting for everybody. First, I set everyone's mana and stamina reserve to 0, meaning that nobody holds anything back. Everybody's got 100% of their mana or stamina pool available to them to work with. I do not play where I control my party. I do not go into the tactical menu unless somebody needs to throw a grenade or drop a dispel every once in a while. And so I expect everyone to do their job. And as long as everyone is following the targeting of my named character, not the controlled character, but my actual named character, then everybody seems to do what they're supposed to do. I have Varric favorite long shot, which puts him at a distance. The AI naturally puts him away from the fight so that he can benefit from the buff that you get with that ability, which is you do more damage the farther away you are. And then I also upgrade that to where he hits multiple targets. And that's his primary offensive skill. Like with my mages, I give them Winter's Grasp. That's about it. That's all I ask them to do. That's like the Swiss Army knife ability that sets everybody up for combos, freezes enemies in place. It's an amazing skill. Even against enemies that are immune to frost. They still take slow effects and other stuff like that. All right, so as soon as I got to Haven, I'm not going to be using Mighty Blow on this. This is the first difference from my other Reavers. I'm going to be going for Pommel Strike. It is not a friendly fire ability. That's primarily why I'm going to that. I don't want to have to stop and think. I don't want to have to hold back on using an ability because I'm afraid I might wipe out Cassandra or one of my mages or something, which Mighty Blow will do really, really fast. So what I'm going to do is make a beeline down the left side over here and eventually get Pommel Strike. But this is just where I respect from Haven. I went and got some points back so I could spend them on these. And I want to get my active abilities set on my battle menu as early as possible. Basically, my first 5 levels is to pick the abilities I'm going to be using with my character. And that pretty much, that's not just this game, that's other games where skill and ability slots are available like that. Dragon Age 2, Origins, some other games. The primary things I'm going to be doing, I say, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the game. How do I build into that? Pretty simple. So at level 5, there you go, Pommel Strike. And that's my primary battle menu right there. If you notice, I got grappling chain on a certain button, had combat roll, and those will always be there. So from the start of the game, I can start to get in the habit of pressing certain buttons to do certain things. They'll always be in that spot. And then from here on out, I can get any other secondary abilities I might want, which I'll show you one that's a key to this build. And then I can start upgrading some of my primary abilities so that I can start getting the huge damage advantages and stuff like that. All right, and here's where everyone else is at, level 5. Solus' job is to keep barriers up, revive somebody when necessary. That's it. Pretty simple. Varric's job is to lay down some pain from a distance till we unlock their focus trees, their specializations. There's not a whole lot more they can do than just, their basic roles. And Cassandra's job is to draw threat. And that's early on in the game. So here, y'all are probably familiar with this. This is where the little fortress or whatever where that cult hangs out that are worshipping the breach. You can use these guys as agents for Liliana, for secrets, so that you can unlock deft hands early. But yeah, this is just basically a grappling chain to pull enemies away. That's eventually going to become an offensive weapon to be able to knock enemies down. And then block and slash, there you go, which also knocks enemies down in return. But like I say, none of that is upgraded right now. When I very first started in the tutorial, I did upgrade that. Actually, I took block and slash and took the upgrade. Why? So that when you're dealing with the stupid pride demon in the tutorial at the very beginning, especially on Nightmare, where he likes to one-shot you with the double whips and all that other BS, every other time you activate the Fade Rift, a few shades pop up out of the ground and they start coming and start slapping you in the face. Well, the ability to block that and knock them on their ass so you can kill them while everyone else deals with the Pride Demon is a key to getting through that section without the Pride Demon getting dead on your ass and just destroying you. Let Cassandra sit over there and taunt the Pride Demon, and all the archers can just wail away at him while you deal with the Fade Rift and deal with those stupid shades that pop up out of the ground. And 9 out of 10 times it works well enough. If I was playing a rogue, it'd be different. I'd upgrade stealth all the way, so that as soon as those shades pop up, I could shed threat and hit stealth. Or as soon as the Pride Demon turns to me, I can go into stealth and shed threat, and then go activate the Fade Rift. You actually have a lot more survivability with a squishier character in the tutorial. But with the Reaver, the main thing about that is to deal with those shades and let everyone else deal with the Pride Demon, and hit that Fade Rift as soon as it comes up, as soon as you can, as often as you can. All right, so at level 10, here's where everyone's at. We've all got our focus ability unlocked, just don't have a lot of points in it yet. Levels 6 through 10 are essentially getting any secondary abilities we might need, aside from focus abilities, and start upgrading certain abilities. It used to be before, 1 through 5, get my abilities. 6 through 10, upgrade all those abilities. Get a passive or two, right? And then 11 through 15, start working on focus stuff. Here, with this build, we're doing a little bit extra. I'm having Cassandra do something new. She's going to be spamming Horn of Valor as often as I can get her to spam it. Notice I've got it starred. I want her to hit that as often as possible. Between Warcry and Challenge and Horn of Valor, notice I'll be going for the stamina upgrade for Challenge as soon as I can also. Because her keeping stamina up, I'm asking her to do a little bit more than I used to. She's still just drawing threat. I'm not asking her to be so much a damage dealer, but she's acting as support to the overall party. I want her to buff our damage output and our defense overall by keeping Horn of Valor up as often as possible. You might even want to mastercraft that into her shield, or Horn of Valor goes off every so often. In fact, I think there's a shield. It's a go-to shield you can get on the Storm Coast that comes with that. It's in a little side bunker where Varric has like a crossbow upgrade. I think that's Horn of Valor. It's either Horn of Valor or Warhorn, one of the two, that it hits like 10% chance every time she takes a hit. So you can mastercraft some of that stuff in, but as long as it plays into that, basically keeping a party damage buff up, party defense up, and then between that and Livid, which is the new ability that I went towards, I cannot believe that I hadn't been using it before now. We'll just call it my oversight and my stupidity. Just call it for what it is. Because this thing is amazing. In fact, the symbol for it is similar to one of the symbols on the Reaver tree in Dragon Age 2. Basically what it does is the more enemies that are around you, when you hit it, it doesn't exactly taunt them necessarily, but it gives you a damage buff for every enemy hit by this ability. Now, maybe when you hit the ability for every different enemy you hit after that, it gives you a damage buff, or if it's just every enemy that the ability itself hits, like an AoE effect, kind of like Warcry, taunts as many enemies that are within its radius of effect. Either way, whatever, it gives you a damage buff for basically every enemy around you. And it's 10% per enemy. So if you roll yourself in with your combat roll into a mob of enemies, hit Livid, say there's 4 or 5 enemies there, you're going to get a 40-50% damage buff on top of all your Reaver passives. Now, what's really going to play into this later, notice I make a beeline for Rampage here. I want that to be active as often as possible too. Having maximum focus gain on your characters, maybe building a little extra focus gain into your mages, or into Cassandra's armor since she's always surrounded, like extra amount of focus per X number of enemies that she's surrounded by, that type of thing. Because Rampage is fun, all right? And that's the key to playing a game, right, is fun. So the more you can Rampage and go Berserk, which increases your attack speed, it plays into the rest of this build. Plus, it's a damage bonus. Plus, you got the Reaver damage bonuses. Plus, you have Livid, which is a damage bonus. Plus, you have Horn of Valor, which is a damage bonus. And when all these stars line up just right, you start putting up huge numbers. And your AoE effect, just simply by everything that you do, rolling through enemies, blocking, grappling chain, pommel strike. You say pommel strike, that's a single target ability. It has a little bit of range on it. Believe it or not, you can hit an enemy 5 or 6 meters away. It acts a little bit like Scythe did, kind of in Dragon Age 2, a little bit. It reminds me a bit of that. It's a lot more fun, and it's not friendly fire. If you're not playing with friendly fire on, you're kind of wasting Nightmare mode. Play with that on, and it's going to refine the abilities that you can actually use in the game safely. And it requires you to think a little bit about your build, and I believe it makes the game more rewarding, in my opinion. So I've always played with that, always will. It's a part of Dragon Age Nightmare mode. Don't know why they separated the two, but whatever. I won't play without it on. It definitely requires you to put a little bit of theory crafting into your overall party build. A lot of the things that you used to spam to get it, spin to win type stuff don't count because you'll wipe your party out before you even start hurting enemies. All right. Notice I got Varric's critical chance buff made a beeline for that on his focus tree. Then went ahead and gave him his focus ability. Of course, Cassandra needs to get her focus ability up to generate guard for everybody and stamina regen for everybody. And then Vivian, well, she just heals the whole party. If anybody goes down, she heals everybody to full health, gives them full barrier, and creates this glyph that if you're standing within it, you get healed a certain amount per second. After all that, I mean, she's amazing. All right, so I've tried to show you everybody's skill tree every 5 levels or so, and it comes in five level increments. It really kind of does. First 5 levels, get the abilities you're going to use. Next 5 levels, maybe go for a secondary ability, like in this case I went for Livid, and then start thinking about upgrading some of those abilities. 11 through 15, you should start thinking about your focus stuff and start working your way towards your main focus ability and any passives that you need to have, and upgrading any of those other abilities that you've overlooked, like in this case Pommel Strike, and things like that definitely need the upgrade for the damage boost, because that damage is going to play into the overall damage you deal once you get your critical chance up there and stuff. All that plays into it. Notice we're already doing decent damage here, and we're by no means optimally equipped. Right now I thought we'd go ahead and do some runs. Here I'll show you the skills we have available, how we basically manage in a fight. Everything's pretty much upgraded. We got Ring of Pain as a damage buff. Livid is now available as a damage buff, and just about all of our abilities do damage. You can knock enemies down with Grappling Chain, which gives you a damage buff for enemies that are knocked down. There's a passive for that, 30% damage buff. And literally everything you do and everything about you buffs or emphasizes the damage that you deal. Combat roll, damage. Block and slash, damage. Grappling Chain, damage. Literally everything. Obviously, Pommel Strike, any basic attacks, and then all of your passives and buffs. And now what we really want to concentrate on is finding a way to keep our health at a minimum, because another thing that comes with the Trespasser DLC is the Belt of Urgency. It's so much fun. What it does is it increases based on the rank of belt you have. You have a basic one, an enhanced one, and the superb one, which sadly, as far as I know, unless they patch this, which I don't think they're doing any more patches for the game, or unless there's some hidden war table mission that I've never heard of, the superb one is only available once you go into the Trespasser DLC. And the bad thing about that is it's an end game thing. You can't even start the DLC until the end of the game. The items are available and the abilities are available throughout the game, but the superb Belt of Urgency is only available in the DLC itself in a chest, and so you can't really access that. And I think it increases your attack speed by 30%. If you're under 50% health. The enhanced one, I believe, increases it by 20%. I think it's 10, 20, 30, something like that. So it's still significant. It's a lot more fun. It's essentially a 20% damage boost, right? You attack 20% faster. Well, over time, you're talking about 20% more damage. And so that's, once again, plays into everything you do. But it's a lot of fun attacking faster, because Rampage increases your attack speed, Superb Belt of Urgency increases your attack speed, and you have a passive that not only, I believe, raises your critical chance, but also increases your attack speed when you're near wounded enemies. So you can essentially double your attack speed at times in the game. So you notice you're able to hit Rampage, and you roll, and you attack so much faster. And you are literally now a Wrecking Ball. You're a Wrecking Crew in and of yourself. Everything you do does damage. Whether you're grabbing enemies, pulling them to you, almost everything has an AoE effect except Pommel Strike. But the cool thing about that is it has range, and it stuns enemies. The same passive that allows you to do bonus damage to enemies that are knocked down also allows you to do bonus damage to enemies that are stunned. That's exactly how it's worded. Stunned or knocked down, I believe. Or knocked back. Something like that. Anyway. So there you go. And keep in mind, they also have a new thing with the DLC. It's called Trials. And it allows you to include some of the things that were previously taken out of Nightmare Mode, like special enemy immunities and abilities. On the good side, it allows you to add challenge to the game. On the bad side, it tends to bug and glitch the game, especially the one that gives enemies special abilities. It breaks the game. I just have to just say it like it is. It breaks the game. It makes the game unplayable at times, where you just have to solid reload and sometimes close the app and start all the way back over to refresh an area because enemies become invincible. And I don't mean invincible like they're hard and it takes a while to kill. I mean they've got barrier on top of barrier on top of barrier. Unbreakable barriers with double dispel from maxed out mages. You can't touch them. and they can one-shot your entire party with Mind Blast because they get like a 1 million time damage multiplier. It's just a bug. It just happens. But they do have some really cool trials that allow you to half the XP you gain in the game, so you can explore all the content in the game without reaching your level cap, halfway in, if that's your thing. I don't mind leveling slower sometimes, so I can enjoy the entire game without becoming uber max powerful halfway through. And they also have one that has all the enemies scale with you no matter where you go. So you can come back to the hinterlands at level 20 and everything will be level 20. That is the most significant, because enemy scaling has always been a thing with Dragon Age. Parts of what makes it what it is, so that you never out-level everything and just start one-shotting the whole game, because that makes it boring and it ruins the game. Even if you enjoy it at the time, it's still, honestly, I hate to say it, I don't mean to speak for you, but it ruins your game. It does, because there's no challenge, there's no reward. You're not doing anything for any reason anymore. The game is essentially playing itself, and what's the fun in that? Oh, I think it's a lot of fun being in God mode. Okay, well, how about challenging yourself and trying that and then comparing the rewards from beating a challenge as opposed to just watching a game play itself, I guess it just depends on what you're after. Anyway, now that I have Dragon Rage available, I thought I would show you how when your health gets full, like when Vivian fully heals your entire party, now you can give that health away, even if you have a full bar of guard and a full barrier. You can still give your health away and do damage at the same time. Once again, it's tactical. You're not only buffing your damage by taking damage for yourself, but you're doing more damage the less health you have. So you're double buffing yourself. So everything you do buffs your damage and does damage, literally. And so I think we're about 18 here. We're by no means optimally geared yet, but we do have some basic stuff to work with. I thought I'd give a test run on this thing. It's another thing that comes with the DLC. It's called Sigils. And what Sigils do is they give you a benefit and a penalty. Like, they might give you a bonus to attack, but they'll give you or they might give you a bonus to, say, flanking damage, but they'll give you a penalty to attack. They'll give you this huge flanking damage bonus, like 200%, which is the sigil I was referring to here. But they give you a minus 50 attack bonus. That was good, but there's one problem with this particular Reaver, is I concentrated so much on critical chance and critical damage, is my attack rating is abysmally low. But I don't need attack. That's not what I'm going for. I rely completely on hitting a lot of criticals and getting a lot of damage as a result. And so attack is secondary. So as much as flanking damage sounded good, I was actually taking a penalty in all the damage I dealt by being in the negative. It literally made my attack like, I don't know, minus something. I think I actually take a look at it here in a minute. You can see for yourself. But it was worth a try. I thought it was I'd go ahead and give it a run. Because playing a Reaver, you're so busy rolling through enemies with this build and working around enemies, and enemies are so distracted by Cassandra that half the time you're going to be behind them anyway. So I was thinking, well, a 200% damage bonus on top of all my criticals, and that sounds insane. And I'm sure there was some advantage to that at times, but I think overall there was a minus to all the damage I was doing. Because in that damage calculator, after critical damage and then armor is factored in, then they factor in attack. Well, I was getting a negative there, and that's not acceptable. I was expecting to hit some 7s and 8s here, not 4s and 5s. I'm guessing that was a primary factor. But either way, we owned Hivernal, and we were under-leveled for this. The one trial I didn't have active, once again, was the one where they have special abilities, which essentially with dragons, it doesn't affect dragons so much. It maybe gives them somewhat of a larger health pool, but they're already considered a boss. And a big part of that particular trial is to promote enemies, make normal enemies elite. It mainly affected enemies like bears and some mages. Mages would have special abilities like all the things that you've got, Mind Blast on top of some other stuff, as well as the ability to spam barriers for themselves. So mages became really annoying. What broke it is when mages became invincible, along with some other enemies. Bears were all bosses. If you there's a trial to make bears harder, and then when you do the special ability one too, it would promote them. So they weren't just elite, uber powerful bears, but they were boss bears. Harder to kill? Not really. Just took a little longer. That's about it. No real significant impact on the game, but it's worth rolling with. With each trial, it gives you a small chance to get a little bonus, and a little chest pops up back at either your base or your blacksmith or whatever, and random items will be in there. Some special items that were introduced with the DLC, and sometimes Fade Touch materials and things. But the rewards pop up pretty seldom. Even when you've got a lot of trials active, it usually means going back to your base to actually look to see if you've got something. It'll notify you if you're paying attention. Anyway, now there is a sigil that I do like, Sigil of Deathroot. It gives you plus 10 to your attack, minus 50 to your healing bonus. That's ideal. See where I'm hurt right now? If you're wearing that sigil, you can drink a potion and still stay under half health. That is ideal for this build, and it's a 10% attack bonus. What does that have to do with critical damage? Well, it's not a negative. That's the main thing. It's not a negative. Anything that helps with damage is great, and anything that affects your overall healing is good too. But when Vivian does group heal, it's just group heal. There's no 50% to it. She just resurrects everybody and heals everybody. Now this is the garbage ass axe with very small critical chance or damage on it right here that we were just working with, and I think we got busy with Hivernal. Now I wanted to upgrade my weapon and give that sigil a run. This is what I was talking about. I believe I had the sigil equipped here. This entire video here is clipped together from stream footage. In fact, hopefully some of you were around when we did the stream. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Anytime you hang out with stream, but especially for putting this build together and being patient with me recording little snippets and clips and stuff. And, I'm including dragon fights just as kind of a measurement of where we're at. Looking at the numbers we're putting up overall, just about everything's critical. Notice that. Not the biggest numbers, though, but a steady stream of numbers. That's the thing. 4s here, 3s there, and lots of 4s and 500s. Now, that's going to go up. Like I say, this is by no means optimal gear here, and I do believe this sigil, as much as it was supposed to raise... Here, I'm behind the dragon, right? I don't see any really, really sexy numbers coming up necessarily. Now, that 10,000 was nice, but that was due to an ability. Anyway, I don't know comparatively. I think I'm not a big fan of a deficit. When it comes to calculating my damage, anything that's in the negative, I have to look at that with a suspicious eye and think that, you know, that's probably hurting me. I can't sit there in the computer and see exactly what it's doing, everything that it's doing type of thing. And I don't have a PC to go back and look at all the recent actions that took place during a fight type of thing to see what really happened, what damage was dealt by whom, to whom, and all that other stuff. So I just have to kind of go with what I see. And overall, I wasn't quite getting the overall numbers I thought I should be getting. The numbers should be getting higher as you go along in a dragon fight anyway, as Varric breaks the enemy's armor down. And eventually, if you get armor sundering on some of your mages, assuming it doesn't glitch and do the bleeding effect instead, if you can get your entire party working on breaking enemy armor down, you can treat your Reaver as almost an assassin. Something to think about. I'm just throwing ideas out there, really just trying to fill time, just blabbing, while I share my dragon fights and stuff here and show you, you know, what the build can actually do overall. Here we're 19. I want to show you again at level 20 with optimal stuff, exactly what we can really do and the numbers that I was finally able to come up with. And you guys can probably come up with some better stuff. But this is the axe I got here. 45 critical chance on just the axe by itself. 36 critical damage bonus. Wear 2 rings of critical damage bonus. One of them's found in the Hissing Waste. Another one is found in the Darkspawn Corvacus or whatever over there in the Western Approach. You have to unlock it at a War Table mission. The Belt of Urgency, and then an Amulet of Dexterity, believe it or not. And there you go. And this is my equipment setup. And this is pretty much what I'll run with. And once you get your character equipped out, then equip your followers to complement what you're doing. If you need to get your critical damage to bleed through armor, get your followers to crack enemy armor. If you want your followers to share in the damage you're dealing, get their critical chance high. Remember, mages ignore armor. They have lower damage on their staffs overall, and that's why. They ignore armor completely. See my critical damage bonus. I got to 160. I think that's probably a way to get it a bit higher than that overall, but that is what it is. Oh, superb stamina amulet on this dragon. That comes in handy, especially for an assassin. Anyway, so we'll go fight. Well, we all know which dragon we're going to do next, right? The Northern Ravager. That's supposed to be the highest level Mama dragon here, and this is level 20. This is basically where, this is the soft cap. This is where everything's where it's supposed to be. Notice all my upgrades are for damage. Bonus damage, cooldown reduction, bonus damage, bonus damage. That's it. Everything should do damage and knock enemies on their ass. Every single thing. Coup de Grace is that one passive I was talking about that allows you to do more damage to enemies that are knocked down. The Livid, where it resets itself. Any passive that does bonus damage. And then Dragon Rage. And I don't upgrade any of those active abilities in the Reaver tree. Dragon Rage is more of, it deals damage too. Once again, everything you do deals damage, but it's essentially a means by which to give away your health even if you have full barrier and guard, to always keep yourself at that 50% health mark, so that you can take advantage of the Belt of Urgency. And once again, increasing your damage, increasing your attack speed. And Varric does a little bit for that too. He provides his own little passives, increasing your damage a bit, increasing your critical chance, which is worth its weight in gold. And Cassandra can even do her share of damage, actually. But I have her fully upgraded. Horn of Valor, I upgraded to where you get even more damage bonus, from 15% to 30% damage bonus every time she blows that. And then give her the passive where everybody gets a damage bonus to any enemy that is taunted, which is basically every enemy all the time. Although I think it's going to be level 21 before I actually pick that. Sometimes you have to pick and choose. You can't have all your skills at once. But this is where we're at level 20. And it worked fine. Everyone, of course, everyone on stream is like, ooh and ah, oh, look at the numbers. Oh, that looks like a lot of fun. It is. It was a lot of fun. And that was the main thing. And that fire tree with my mages is to give them free cooldowns and reduce their cooldown times and all that stuff. They actually get even a free spell cast with that every time they hit a critical. Well, I get the critical chance real high on their staves because critical damage bleeds through armor with mages. So just basically double their damage. Give them high critical chance and every attack is double damage. There you go. Pretty simple. And I stack dex on my armor plus the sigil for bonus attack, and each point of dexterity does give you 1% critical damage. You don't get any bonus attack from dex for a warrior, sadly enough. That would break the game. But you do get bonus critical damage, and that is essentially my attack stat. That's how I built this Reaver, is we weren't going for strength. We weren't going for attack. We were going for all critical chance and critical damage. Critical damage is worth nothing if you're not hitting criticals. So, like I said, you want to basically guarantee your critical chance, or get it really, really high anyway. 70, like I say, a flat 65, 70%. And then between Varric and your Reaver passive that gives you another 10%, that procs a lot, then you're pretty much good to go. You're going to see criticals all the time. It's been effective for me, however the numbers crunch, I don't know. It just seems to work, so we'll go with that. Notice everyone in the party has a belt of focus. Everybody that earns focus gives the focus to the entire party. In other words, I could go off and earn 5,000 focus. When I come back, my entire party's got 5,000 focus, even if I'm the only one that's done anything. So basically, everybody shares focus. Takes a while to build up, but it goes off damage. The more damage you do, the quicker your focus gain is. And then you can also get bonus focus by working it into your companion's armor, even your own armor if you want to. Although with the Reaver, I think an ideal thing to have is at least one masterwork where you do bonus damage based on the number of enemies that are nearby. It's usually within an 8-meter radius, and it goes up to, I think, 7.5% per enemy. So if you're around 4 enemies, that's a 30% damage bonus there. And you're talking about huge buffs. Like I say, all your buffs and all your abilities should be designed to do one thing. Once again, pick a path and stick to it. Don't get owned by a boss one time and say, oh, this damage is one thing, but I got one-shotted, so I'm going to start working on defense. Well, guess what? That boss wouldn't have killed you if he was dead. So bottom line is just stick to your guns. You're going to... Any RPG, this isn't like an action game where you walk into... it's not like Call of Duty where you walk in with your gun already pre-made. Okay? You got to work your way... There's trials. Any good RPG, there's going to be trials you got to go through. You got to go through that phase where you're walking along the seashore poking mud crabs with a stick. Everybody goes through that until you eventually get that awesome sword and the super uber abilities and et cetera, right? It's going to take a minute. Got to earn that. And once you do earn that, then that's your reward, you know. It's too bad that a lot of games nowadays want to give it to you rather than make you earn it. That's a shame. We've talked about that at length in our streams. Any of you that haven't joined our streams, we stream Wednesday through Sunday, usually starting around 7 o'clock, sometimes earlier, most of the time earlier actually, but it's usually by 7 and 5 days a week. And sometimes Monday and Tuesday too, if we're not doing anything else. Lately I've been working on Oblivion videos, so that's kept me busy. But, all right, so look, 5... I just want to look at the steady stream of numbers. She's about half health. Now she's calling in the babies, and we'll see. Her armor should be down by now. And we got her knocked down, so we'll probably get a bonus here. All right, 6, 6, as opposed to 4s. Roll through, knock out all of her babies in one shot. I swear there was a 14 in there. Was that a 14,000? I'm not sure. The numbers are flying. Notice it's all criticals, though. And so your combat rolls hurt, your basic attacks hurt, pommel strike hurts, block and slash hurts. And I'm not saying we knocked her down maybe as quick as some videos you've seen of like Assassins or Tempests or whatever, you know, and a lot of those are exploits anyway. But she's level, I think, 24, and we were level 20. We just hit 21. And I was happy with that. I thought we knocked her down in good time right there. Could you solo that dragon with the same Reaver? Sure you could. That's what I came with. And these are the trials that I find work really well. The take it slow where you can make it half XP for the game, that's really rewarding if you want to explore the entire game without reaching your level cap really early. Because as most of you may know, you can't explore half the content without hitting the level cap if, you know, set on its normal settings. So, well, I hope you enjoyed that. Anyway, that's my new Reaver build. Run with it, see if you like it, have some fun. Leave a comment in the section below. That'd be awesome. And I'll let you guys go and get back to it. Y'all take care. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.